When you saw that NBA Finals game last night, holy cow, what a disaster that was for the league. Listen, I love the NBA as much as anybody, but let's be realistic. That was a nightmare scenario for the NBA last night. The Denver Nuggets don't even play their best game, and they dominate and win by 11. Now, the spread was 9.5. I told you guys yesterday on the show, you had to hammer the Nuggets. A lot of game one evidence points to that after a 7-game series, and Denver dominated. The second half, they led by as many as 24 points. Just an evisceration of the Miami Heat. It kind of left you wondering, can Miami win one, much less 2 games in this series? And I think it all stems really back to the man in the middle, Nikola Jokić. He was utterly dominant. That's the only word you could use to describe the doughy 6'10 European who was just flashing brilliance left and right against Miami. They had no answers. And, in the morning meeting with the staff, I kept saying, Jokić is just so dominant out there. You can't stop him. Denver's now 13-3 in the postseason. They look like, not like an all-time great team, but certainly the best team in the league. And it all runs around Mr. Jokić. And what makes him so special, I believe, is that he is as dominant as Shaquille O'Neal was. Not the best big man since Shaq, but as dominant as Shaq. Now, they dominate in different ways. Shaq just overpowered you back to the basket. I'm going to dunk. Everybody knows the famous dunk on Chris Dudley where he dunked on him, just shoves him to the ground. That was Shaq's dominance and overpowering anybody in the game, really. Jokić is different. He is kind of like a Jason Bourne out there, crafty. He's going to point out your weakness. He's going to hold the ball, and he's going to pass. I mean, folks, if you want to be bleak for the Miami Heat, they were trailing by 17 points at halftime, and Mr. Jokić had taken 3 shots. That's it. He doesn't have to score to kill you. He's really an evolved big man, a kind of guy who can step out and hit the 3. Hey, we're going to sag back on Jokić. Let's see if he can shoot. Yeah, he can bang 3s. We're going to double team Jokić. That's fine. He's a great passer. The vision, I think Colin has compared him to Arvydas Sabonis, one of the best passing big men ever. Yeah, T-Mac, my guy. Huge fan of Tracy McGrady back in the day. And listening to him gas up Jokić, again, we're talking about a guy who can dominate. Now, offensively, he dominates. Defensively, he's not doing much. Shaq obviously was a great defender. And I know 90s basketball fans will say, oh, Shaq was a better defender. He was a better player. Are you sure about that, guys? You watch Jokić in this offense. He had 27, 14, and 10, made it look easy, and he didn't even play his A-plus game. Again, we're talking about a guy who is unguardable. At one point, the Heat said, we're going to bring Cody Zeller off the bench. We're going to try him on Jokić just to give him a different look. Jokić took him from the perimeter, drove to the lane, literally went through him for the layup and won. And Jokić is the kind of guy, he doesn't have to dunk to dominate you. I don't even know if he's had 5 dunks in the postseason, but he makes it look easy. And one of the problems, I know it's weird to say this is a problem for the league, is that, and I got a great quote from the movies, audiences love flamboyant people who broke all the rules and paid dearly for it. Obviously, like a Robert Downey Jr. comes to mind. But the first half of that quote, audiences love flamboyant people, really applies to a lot of NBA players. We've got showmen, right? I mean, Magic Johnson, one of my favorite players. Magic and Patrick Ewing were my favorite players growing up. They were extremely flamboyant. Ewing's thunderous dunks in Madison Square Garden, pointing at people, shot blocking, letting them know. Magic Johnson with the passing. Listen, I know Larry Bird was a silent assassin and was a legendary trash talker, but he was flamboyant in his own ways. Isaiah Thomas, the great point guard. These 80s and 90s players were ultra flamboyant. Obviously, we got to mention the great Michael Jordan and what he could do, the shrug against the Portland Trailblazers. Audiences love the flamboyant players. And if you look in the modern era right now, Kyrie Irving's not a great basketball player. We know he's a talented one, but he is extremely flamboyant with his layups, his finishing at the rim. This guy, the audiences love the Kyrie Irvings of the world. Steph Curry's hitting from 3 with the shoulder shrug. They love that. The NBA's best player right now is Nikola Jokić, who is not flamboyant at all. And I say that's a problem for the league because how do you market this guy? He's great to watch. I love him. But we know what the audience likes. The casual fans. They love dunks. They love passes, the deep threes. They like the trash talk. I love that stuff. The Phoenix Suns have announced, well, I guess they didn't announce it, but Shams Charania announced that the Suns are going to be hiring Frank Vogel. A buddy sent me a tweet that 20 minutes before they got Frank Vogel, Doc Rivers pulled his name out of contention for the Phoenix Suns job. Smart timing, Doc Rivers, unless he knew what was coming. At any rate, I like Frank Vogel a lot. You guys know I play a lot of basketball. I talk about the men's league, played a lot of pickup basketball during COVID. And Frank Vogel lives in my neighborhood, or lived in my neighborhood, living out here in LA. And one of my neighbors, a good buddy, is like, I would see Frank Vogel out. And I said, can you invite him to our pickup game? Because he apparently still plays basketball. He's like, dude, he is the nicest guy, the most down to earth. There's no arrogance. And he was coaching the Lakers, okay? They ended up winning the title in the bubble. I'm a big Frank Vogel guy. Everybody says nice things about him. Defensive guy. He's going into a really toxic situation in Phoenix. And I know toxic is a strong word, but I'll be brief here because I got to get to an NFL list. 2 things that jump out. Number 1, Kevin Durant, my guy. You know, I like KD. We had a little Instagram DM bromance over the years. He likes to throw grenades at me. That's fine. But he responds. He's open to the discourse. I can't get over Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving saying, who needs a coach? We don't need a coach. We can just roll the ball out and play. Kevin Durant, I respect the talent. Top 15 player all time, no doubt. You need a coach, buddy. Like, it's undeniable. Like, go look at Philadelphia with Doc Rivers. Go look at Milwaukee with Budenholzer. Coaches matter. And this idea that Frank Vogel's just going to come in, like, you're not going to teach Kevin Durant anything. You're not going to teach Devin Booker anything. It's the supporting cast and playing around them and maybe playing an ounce of defense because Denver just shredded them. But this is a tough one for Frank Vogel. And I mentioned to Eddie House last hour, Vogel likes his rim protectors. With it, when he had that Laker team, they had JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, and Anthony Davis rim protecting. Right now it's DeAndre Ayton, Jock Landale, and Bismack Biyombo, I think. I don't know that's going to cut it, and I don't know that you can really move Ayton now. So going to get interesting. And I do wonder if this ends or just begins the Kyrie Irving journey perhaps to Phoenix.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.